when my friend and fellow author Mark Henderson found out I was doing a video review of his new book, Elusive Tales of the Peak District, he begged me not to do it. This is a serious book, he said, and I'm afraid you'll turn the review into a comedy act like you do with almost everything else. Well, I did my best to reassure Mark and promised I would treat his work with the respect it deserves, and also mention he's the author of a number of other excellent books as well, and that his command and usage of the English language is uniquely masterful and awe-inspiring, all of which is true. I've read several of his other books. I've also read Elusive Tales of the Peak District, and I liked it a lot. Besides, being from the UK, Mark has a sophisticated, authoritative British accent, so he sounds serious and erudite every time he opens his mouth. And it's reflected in his writing, too. All of that, of course, just naturally commands respect. Furthermore, because Elusive Tales of the Peak District is the follow-on to Mark's Folk Tales of the Peak District, I could honestly say in my review that he knows whereof he speaks or writes. Anyway, I think my words had a calming effect on him because after a while he stopped returning my calls and emails. So let's get to it. Here's the problem. This is one of those rare books whose title tells us exactly what's in the book. So after I enjoyed the beautifully scenic cover, opened the book, got through the legal mumbo jumbo, the foreword and a map of the Peak District in north central England, the rest of the book was only blank pages. Talk about elusive. Apparently the folk tales in question are so elusive, old Mark can't find them. At the end of the book, there is a page with Mark's biographical information and an impressive list of his other works, but before that, nothing. Well, of course I'm joking. The stories are there, all right. 36 of them, complete with commentary on each one and photographs like these, many of the locations where the stories supposedly took place. And I liked all the stories. Mark explains why they're elusive. And here he is. Well, here's his picture. I'll read what he says. The previous book, Folk Tales of the Peak District, contained no examples of stories from the far north of the peak, and only 4 from the southwest portion, says Mark. This new volume makes good those omissions and presents alternative versions and commentaries on a few items in the earlier collection. Some are quite well known, but others are obscure and are seldom, if ever, told. Hence the title of this anthology. So, why did I like them? Well, first of all, they're good stories. Interesting, engaging, often with a moral. Secondly, they give insight not only to the human character, the good, the bad, the fantastic, the tragic, the funny, but also to the British character. Now, why should an American care about all that? Well, why should an American read Shakespeare or Dickens or Conan Doyle or Kipling or enjoy the music of George Frederick Handel, even though he was born in Germany? It's because it's excellent stuff. You can enjoy it and you can learn from it. Also, in my case, my ancestors were English, so this is a little bit like rediscovering my roots. Here are just a few of the tantalizing titles. The Businessman, the Farmer, and the Donkey. You know, an Americanized version of this one has made the rounds on Facebook under the rubric of Don't Mess with Country Folks. The Farmer and the Devil, The Carpenter and the Frog, The Dying Mill Worker. That one made me laugh out loud, but I won't spoil it for you. The Sheldon Duck Tree, very interesting situation. The Grodbach Cannibals, Ghosts of Butterton, The Headless Horseman of Oncote, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, and The Phantom Coach of Throwley Hall. Hope I'm pronouncing that one right too. Now, Mark writes these old folk tales with all the drama he can muster, much like the way he tells them in person in storytelling gatherings or on YouTube, where he actually goes on location, and that adds realism and a sense of currency to the narration. Now, here's a short clip from Mark's telling of one of the stories, the Grodbach Cannibals. It's a short clip, not enough to spoil it for you, and here it is.
He woke, and as he did so, Someone stepped out of the kitchen and seized the little girl and pulled her back in there. And he thought, I've got to get out of here. He moved very quietly. But as he moved towards the door, he saw that one of the bloodhounds had stood and was watching him, and then the other bloodhound stood and was watching him. He felt for the door. He felt for the latch. He could only hope that when he opened the door, the hinges wouldn't creak. He pushed the door wide and he stepped through. And then he ran.
I assure you, the writing is every bit as dramatic and exciting as what you just saw and heard. As Mark himself explains in the foreword, a written collection of folktales is like a collection of butterflies. To be what they truly are, butterflies and oral stories have to fly. That's why I've written them as I have, not in the often fragmentary or deadpan way in which I've heard or read many of them, but in a manner as close as possible to the way I tell them at storytelling gatherings. I want my readers to meet them in something close to tellable condition. And readable and tellable they are. Elusive Tales of the Peak District by Mark Henderson is easily a 5 out of 5 stars, and I think you'll agree. So don't wait, get it today. And thanks for watching.